Let's bring in Dr. Raywat Deonandan, an epidemiologist, science communicator at the University of Ottawa. Dr. Ray, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
All right, the school bus experience. I watched as the kids at these two schools, just two under the French board that reopened today, and they were like little kids. They were scared getting off the bus one at a time, social distancing, a teacher telling them what to do. They all had their masks on. And if I'm a parent watching, I'm thinking, wow, it's a lot to put the kid through.
Yeah, it's saddening, right? And one thing we have to make clear to people is that this isn't about individual risk, as I keep saying. The risk of any one person getting the disease is still quite small. And if you do get it, the risk of having a bad experience, a bad outcome, or even death is vanishingly small. This has always been about the population. So schools are a pandemic accelerator, which is why we are concerned about it. But individuals should not be overly concerned to the point of panic. So getting that balance of messaging is difficult and crucial.
Remind me, all ages on school buses, any age kids with masks or not, what are you recommending?
I always recommend masks. Why not? The risk is low and the potential benefit can be enormous.
That's hard to do when the kid's 5, right?
It is hard to do, but really, I mean, it can be done, and it doesn't have to be done perfectly. The kid can fidget, he can touch his mask, he can pull it down occasionally. I mean, it's not ideal, but having something going on is better than nothing. And with enough people doing it most of the time, you're going to reap some benefits at the population level.
The other thing is that they're asking the parents to do COVID symptom checks before they leave the house every day.
All right, so this is a difficult one because I'm not a fan of putting more responsibility and burden on the parents to manage this, right? It's more stress. Yeah. However, if it's simply a checklist to go through to see, have you got this going on, it can't hurt and it might help a little bit. Keep in mind, any COVID screening tool is going to have low sensitivity. You're going to have a lot of false negatives.
Yeah.
Right? And that's okay because it's just one tool that you're layering on top of the other stuff, like the distancing and the masks and the hygiene and all the other stuff. So the idea here is maybe you catch a couple of cases. Maybe you prevent a couple of cases. So if it's, again, a low-intensity activity that doesn't require a lot of resources and stress, that might result in preventing a case, and it's worthwhile.
Well, and I know that if you're a kid, and there's going to be something about school avoidance that they describe it as, where kids are like so nervous, and we've all heard it. My kids say, I don't want to go to school. And suddenly, my tummy hurts. Now, there's no fever, but the tummy hurts. Do you take the risk and say, I'm going to send my kid back? Because you know if the tummy starts hurting during class, they're going to isolate the kid within seconds.
Yeah, or they may not, right? So it depends on what the COVID tool looks like. The tool isn't just, if you got this, you're a likely case. It's, have you got these 2 or 3 symptoms? It's a little more sensitive than, simply checking out the checkbox. I would assume, I hope. But yeah, these are things we have to work through. And I'm fond of saying that this is a society-level endeavor, and so employers have to be on board with allowing parents to leave work and to go get their kid if such a situation arises. So everyone has to be in this together.
Do the symptoms, are they the same in kids and adults?
No. As far as we can tell, no. But they might be. Again, there's so much variation here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I mean, everybody wants a clear-cut yes-no answer. We haven't got one. What we have are probabilities. And what we can manage, we're not eliminating risk, unfortunately. We're managing and mitigating risk. Some are going to slip through our fingers.
Yeah.
We should expect some cases to occur. The question is, when those cases occur, can we contain them and prevent massive outbreaks and school closures? So that's the goal.
Yeah. Well, we've been told it's inevitable. There are going to be cases in schools. We have to make sure we can manage them. That's the theme throughout the pandemic. We've been doing really well. Maybe different, though, when we start to see more groups of people, young people in particular, back together. And then I'm worried about the whole tummy ache thing, because I keep bringing that up as the example. But if I'm the teacher and there's any indication that the child is not feeling well, doesn't that send up enough of a red flag, to use your mask analogy, and basically say, just in case?
Look, if a kid has a tummy ache in a school, you send them home anyway, even in a non-pandemic year. I mean, what's the point of having a struggling, hurting child in the classroom? So does it send a flag up? Well, it may warrant an investigation of the class, like questioning the rest of the class using the COVID tool to see if any other symptoms are arising and watch them for a week to see what happens. I don't think it's worth doing a saturation test of the class at that point, unless we have the capacity to do that. I mean, frankly, if we can just spend a lot of money and get a lot of rapid tests on site, then that, helps our situation heavily. Just do a lot of testing all the time. But the tummy ache thing, we're going to have some sensitivity. We're going to have some panic early on. We're going to have some overreach and overreactions and some underreactions. So there's going to be a feeling out process, unfortunately.
Yeah. Should we break the news to the kids early on that there likely isn't going to be trick-or-treating door to door this year?
Well, yes. But again, why do we have Halloween? Is it for the candy? Is it for the dressing up? Is it to see other people dressing up? Is it to be out in your neighborhood? We can get most of that stuff done without having to go to a door and get strangers give you candy. All right? So we can get most of this experience still under our belt. The good stuff can still happen. You just don't need the, frankly, taking food from a stranger is not a good idea in the best of times.
Yeah.
So maybe we should be doing that anyway.
What if, most of them are going to be wearing masks?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I mean, some people have some concern over the surface transmission from touching food given to you by a stranger. I'm not that concerned about that. The way this disease is transmitted for the most part is standing near to somebody. But yeah, if you're wearing a mask, that's a really good point. If most people are wearing masks, the odds are probably quite poor of transmission. But again, from a messaging standpoint, if we're going to be consistent around all this, why not have a distanced Halloween? Why not have people standing away from the door and throwing candy at a distance?
I love it.
Giving it out for people.
Yeah, at the end of the driveway, cut up some pumpkins, put them there, maybe even just a bowl full of candy or bags and say, take one.
The squirrels would love it.
Ah, there you go. Just don't leave it out after dark or much after dark. Hey, Dr. Ray, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Raywat Deonandan, epidemiologist, science communicator at the University of Ottawa.